straight from Lourdes. Basil Mitchell and Damon Parker are back to receive the kickoff from Mitch Berger, and the game is underway in Minnesota, downed in the end zone by Mitchell. Brett Favre hurt his thumb in a preseason game against Denver in Madison, Wisconsin in August, but did not miss a start. In fact, hasn't missed a start in 7.5 years. Completely healthy now. And as Boomer mentioned, Levens is back in the lineup. He's been out 2 weeks with a cracked rib. Henderson, the blocking back. Schrader and Freeman are outside. Tyrone Davis is the tight end. And up front, Wall, McKenzie, Winters, Rivera, and Dotson. Ross Verba, normally the starting left tackle, has missed a couple of weeks. He's in uniform tonight. We'll see action. How much? We'll see.
Al, the first significant change for the Vikings is John Randall is inside over the guards.
And the Packers begin out of the shotgun with Dorsey Levens making the catch and picking up 4. That's unusual coming out of the gate in that formation. And as Boomer mentioned, with Randall inside, for the moment we have him listed at least on the graphic outside, but he'll be moving around Ball and Williams and Dolman, the front 4. The linebackers are Wong, Ed McDaniel, and Dwayne Rudd, and in the secondary, and they've been torched recently, Wright, the rookie, along with Griffith at the corners, Thomas and Hitchcock. The secondary, second down and 6 at the 24-yard line. Favre hit as he throws with his arm coming forward. There is no signal yet, which would indicate a fumble at the 31-yard line. His arm was hit by Chris Dolman. And it's Minnesota's ball. Dwayne Rudd recovers the football. So Brett Favre in what amounts to an empty hand, even though the arm came forward. The fumble took place before the arm started moving.
One of the hardest things to do in the NFL, Al, is to play outside tackle against a speed rusher, and that's exactly what Chris Dolman is. He runs right around Mike Wall, and with the noise in here, they have to concentrate. This is the worst way to start a football game, is to come here, turn the ball over right on the first series.
And I was going to say, that's the kind of play that might be challenged and might carry. The referee is going right over to Ray Rhodes, and Ray may challenge this call. This is a challengeable call. Here's Carey.
The ruling on the field, the quarterback fumbled, being challenged by Green Bay.
George takes over for Minnesota at the Green Bay 31-yard line. Last 2 seasons with Oakland, they didn't re-sign him. Came here to back up Cunningham when the year began. Robert Smith is healthy again. Klein Saucer, the blocking back. Moss and Carter's going to start with Andrew Glover, the tight end. The offensive line, and those 5 have been together for every game this season. It's the only interior 5 in the league that has started each of its team's games, and Robert Smith breaks one through that offensive line with the 5 guys up front leading the charge, and Darren Sharper knocks him down after a 12-yard gain and a first down. The Green Bay defense, they play a base 4-3. Gilbert Brown in on the running plays with Booker, Dotson, Brown, and Holiday, the front 4. Then the linebackers, Kuntz, Harris, and Waddy. And in the secondary, they feature the rookie Mike McKenzie, along with Tyrone Williams at the corners, and Leroy Butler and Darren Sharper are the safeties. There's a look at Chris Carter at the 19-yard line. They give it to Smith again. Big hole, and Robert takes the ball down to the 14-yard line. Gain of 5, and a flag comes in at the end of the play. Mike McKenzie making the tackle, holding against Minnesota to bring it back.
Interesting, Al, I'm watching Chris Carter. He's not moving very well out there, but made a great block on Darren Sharper that time downfield. So I don't know how long he'll last. I can't imagine him lasting much more than a quarter, if that at all.
Offense, number 73, 10 yards, first down.
It's almost in a way, even though it's not quite the same parallel, Boomer, but you go back to when Willis Reed comes out for the Knicks in the
I
1970
remember that. I'm a Knick guy. Yeah, that was
against it's almost to inspire your team. Here I am, boys.
Well, now he's coming off the field, and probably what this means is that they're going to go down the field with their wide receivers. You have Hatchett, you have Jake Reed, and you have Randy Moss, and it's kind of interesting that Chris Carter is not on the field right now. That tells you how hurt he probably is.
First down and 20 with the ball at the 29-yard line. Smith again, and nothing happens as he cannot penetrate the defensive front. Keith McKenzie in on the initial hit. Second down and long.
And when you watch the Vikings come out here in this type of offensive set, you know that they're looking at last week's game film when the Green Bay Packer defense was torched against the Carolina Panther offense, in which Steve Berline had a monster game. And they were having trouble communicating in the secondary, Al, and there were a lot of blown coverages. And by getting out there in this type of formation, you put a lot of pressure on the communication aspect of the defense.
And Berline won it on a quarterback draw at the gun. And George loses it. He lost a similar fumble last week at Kansas City, and it cost him a touchdown. This one he recovers, but all the way back at his own 41-yard line. They have to get to the 9-yard line for a first down, so you're looking at a 3rd and 50. Keith McKenzie, who's been on so many big plays this year and has scored touchdowns in each of the last 2 weeks for Green Bay, is the guy who breaks this one up.
And take a look, he comes running around Corey Stringer up top, another speed rusher. The interesting thing about this is that right before the end, I was asking Ron Wolf, are you going to be able to sign Keith McKenzie to a new long extension? He says, I don't know, because all it takes is one other team that wants a guy like this.
3rd and 50, you don't see that often. They should put Cunningham in the game for a quick kick. Instead, it's a little dump off to Leroy Horde, and he takes it to the 48-yard line where he's hit by Santana Dotson.
So you remember I was telling you in the open just how much offense I expected this tonight?
And then we see a 3rd and 50. Have you ever seen a 3rd and 50?
We've seen 2 pass rushers force fumbles. That's what we've seen. I think both of these defenses are in the locker room listening to me now.
3.5 minutes into the game. Question is, can they reach the first down marker with a punt? Mitch Berger to send it down to Antoine Edwards, the rookie from Clemson. It's 4th and 43. Berger having a super season, one of the best in the league, bounces it at the 15, and then Edwards alertly lets it bound through the end zone, and they'll get it back at the 20s here on ABC. Frank Winters to do the snapping at the 20-yard line, and on a first down, the ball is given to Dorsey Levens, and he chugs his way for a gain of 2 before Ed McDaniel, the middle linebacker, pushes him back.
So you'd wonder why John Randall would want to be put in the middle of a defense, and that's an indication right there. He's right at the point of attack. They've had trouble stopping running up the middle. He can basically absorb 2 blockers now. That's how good he is. And when you put him in the middle, he becomes like Warren Sapp. He's tenacious, he's in the backfield, and he's closer to the quarterback.
And he is loquacious. Never stops yapping during the course of the game. 2nd down and 8 from the 22-yard line. Levens again, big hole. He exploits it and takes it out to the 38 for a gain of 16. And Coach Fazio doesn't like that play at all, the Minnesota defensive coordinator. He's seen too much of that lately. Griffith and Wright in on the hit.
And Boge told me before the game that he's going to put Randall in the middle and he's going to just let him go. And you could see number 94 Williams just basically get taken out of the play. He's got to make that play. Number 42 Orlando Thomas makes the wrong entry into the play as well. So a new position for John Randall. Well, he hasn't been in there much, and he's got to get used to being back inside.
They spread him out to the ground. They go again, and there is Levens and Dorsey to the 43. Levens had a rib problem prior to the San Francisco game 3 weeks ago on a Monday night, and then exacerbated the problem, had a cracked rib and missed the last 2 weeks.
And he's a tremendous football player. He's a stud out of the backfield, catching the football, running with it, blocking. He does all the little things as well as the big things, and he has the ability, much like Robert Smith on the other side, to take the ball for a long one.
2nd down, 5. Green Bay from its own 43-yard line. Favre guns it, and it is knocked down at the 50-yard line. Good work by Dwayne Rudd, the linebacker, covering the tight end Tyrone Davis. And Boomer, with the loss of Mark Chmura earlier this season, Packers not using their tight end nearly as much.
Ron Wolf told me before the game, I said, if you had holes on your offense or defense that you would want to fill, where would it be? They said, you know what, you don't realize how much you miss a guy like Chmura because of all the things that he was able to do. Not that Tyrone Davis is not a good football player, but he doesn't have the rapport that Chmura and Favre had together.
3rd down and 5 now. That's Henderson out of the backfield in motion. And Favre throwing, but breaking off the pattern that time was Schrader. He broke off the pattern, and Favre threw it to the outside, and the Schrader look says it all.
I'm kind of scratching my head thinking about why Brett would do that. There was no blitz. He was not under pressure. And to be honest with you, number 42, Orlando Thomas, the safety, almost came over and fielded this like it was a punt. Well, they got a break, a big break.
Randy Moss is back to return the kick. Louis Aguiar.
Don't kick it to Randy Moss, Louis.
He sent it all the way back for a touchdown last week to tie the game in Kansas City in the fourth quarter. It's a floating kick, and Moss is going to fair catch it at the 21. And so the Vikings get the ball back there with 8:57 to go in the first period. In Minneapolis, no score. The Packers. I mean, it's a beautiful night, but it's a beautiful night to be inside. As we mentioned, 2 degrees. Carter back in the game from the 21-yard line. Bad ankle and all. First down. Jeff George retreats, and that's a live ball. It's a backward pass to Smith. That wouldn't have been an incomplete pass had he not caught it, and Leroy Butler comes there to knock him down for a 3-yard loss. Leslie, what's new on Chris Carter?
Yeah, Al, just a couple notes on Chris Carter. He had a hard cast on that right ankle up until kickoff. He took it off and put a soft brace on it. Then the league came over right before kickoff and told him he had to wrap it up to conform to the uniform code of the NFL. He seemed pretty annoyed by it. Also, I think the tape and the brace are bothering him. He had his foot elevated through the entire timeout, Al.
Just by looking at it, you can see that it would have to impede him. Second down and 15 after the last play. And George throws, and that is hauled in by Jake Reed, who takes it out past the 30, just shy of the first down. He broke Mike McKenzie's tackle and then was able to tack on about 7 more, and it will be 3rd and short.
And watch how McKenzie was holding him early in this route. And, you know, McKenzie's a rookie. He's one of 3 rookie DBs that they selected in the draft this past year. And watch how he's holding him. But Jake Reed has really come on the last few weeks. He was in a little bit mid-season slump, but now with Chris Carter hobbled, obviously his role is going to increase.
3rd down, short 1, halfway through a scoreless first quarter. And they give it to Horde, and he can't go anywhere. Their short yardage guy, who has been so effective in these situations this season, can't do it here. Anthony Davis and Keith McKenzie wrap him up.
Is Keith McKenzie all over the field so far for the Green Bay defense? This is a tremendous start for them, coming in beleaguered. Got torched last week against the Panthers, and right now shutting down the Viking offense. And take a look at this. This is what you call penetration. And here comes Booker around the corner. McKenzie fighting off Corey Stringer. Booker deserves the credit for forcing Ford to go outside.
Berger's kick now with Antoine Edwards back to receive it. And a flag is down. There's a marker down. It goes out of bounds near the 27-yard line. Flag down at the line of scrimmage, back at the 32. They marked the kick at the 32-yard line. The other 32. Mike Carey is the
probably
referee.
an illegal man downfield, I believe, for the Vikings.
Steve Ortmeyer is a special teams coach. That is the call. Gary Zauner is the Minnesota special teams maven.
Now the interesting thing here is to decide whether or not to accept the penalty or take the ball in the 32-yard line.
Member of the kicking team, number 33 downfield. Penalty is declined. First down.
They decline it. It's a 38-yard punt. It's an average punt. 38 gross and net. And they figure, what the heck, let's just take the football. 6:51 left in the first, no score. 51 left in the first period. No score. Carr starts to stumble, but gets it to Levens, and Dorsey bounds out to the 40-yard line for a gain of 8, taken down by Robert Griffith. Enhanced TV is online right now with Monday Night Football. You get live up to the minute stats, play a live interactive game. There's also trivia available. Go to ESPN.com or NFL.com right now and log on to Enhanced TV.
Now, you know, Al, what I'm going to tell you. I went on Enhanced TV last night with the boys from ESPN, and it's pretty much of a kick. I know that you're a computer guy, aren't you?
Sort of.
All right, okay. We'll talk about that later.
Second down and 3. Levens. I'm an online trading guy, I know that. He's tackled by Robert Griffith.
And it's a nice play by Robert Griffith, coming up and making the stop at the line of scrimmage. That's what safeties and linebackers have to do.
These two teams have battled since 1960, and look at that. The same record for each this season. In the 90s, Each team is 92-65, and against each other, you look at the history of this series, they played 76 games, and the Vikings have won 38, the Packers have won 37, and we've had a tie. So if Green Bay wins tonight, dead even through the course of history in this rivalry. 3rd and short, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Freeman, and it's 4th down.
Well, Foge Fazio's doing a great job of kind of mixing up his coverages, moving guys around, blitzing. But as long as Chris Tolman and John Randall and Williams and all the defensive linemen can put pressure on with just 4 guys rushing, that will force Favre to throw those difficult passes into those zones down the field.
Randy Moss, who fair caught Aguiar's first punt, back to receive Louis' second. And Aguiar takes no chances. That is a beautiful angled kick, and Moss lets it go. Carter's been in the game tonight, but they haven't gone to him. First down from the 16-yard line to the ground. Robert Smith springs to the outside and is forced out of bounds by Bernardo Harris at the 23. Well, Randy Moss can do a lot of great things for you. In 2 years, we know all about that. Went to the Pro Bowl last year, had a spectacular rookie year. But he's been very inconsistent of late. To it last week when you go back to the Kansas City game, dropped that one right there. Then there was a play that could have been pass interference. His left arm got tangled with the defensive back, tried to one-hand it and couldn't. Fumbles after that reception, and then atoned for a fumbled punt by running one back for a touchdown. So you get a little bit of everything with Moss these days. 2nd down and 2, and this is Robert Smith taking it up to the 26-yard line.
And in our game a few weeks ago against Tampa, he had 2 big drops, one possibly for a touchdown, another one for a first down. And when you talk to everybody around the Vikings, they say that this young man right here is a victim of youth, basically, that he has more talent than anybody on the team, that he is a tremendous football player. He just has to learn to carry himself like a Chris Carter, to make every play like it's your last play, and don't drop your concentration.
Carter's been his mentor. Green Bay has excelled this year defensively against 3rd and 1. And we have that situation here, and this is Horde, and this time Leroy picks up the first down. Green Bay had stopped the opposition 14 times in 22 3rd and 1s. That's a great figure, but not here. First down.
You think that has anything to do with big old number 93, Gilbert Brown?
Yes,
6'2",
it does.
350 pounds, smack dab in the middle. That's exactly what you want in a defensive lineman, to stop short yardage running off the field right there. Take a look at this offensive line. Watch how it drives, and there's Gilbert right there at the point of attack. It's all a matter of penetration or getting pushed back. That time, the offensive line of the Vikings pushed the defensive line of the Packers back.
1st and 10 from the 28. Action up front. Induced or not induced?
Not induced. I think it's going to be on our guy Todd Stussy.
Uh-oh.
Every Monday night.
False start. Offense. Number 73. 5 yards. First down.
He loves Monday night.
I'm telling you.
And for those people who don't know what we're talking about, we had him against Dallas. We had him against Tampa. He had a few holding penalties, a few offsides, and there he is, the left tackle, number 73. Good stance, though. It's a way to explode into your stance. And he's a Pro Bowler. He's just not having a Pro Bowl year, at least on Monday night.
1st and 15 from the 23-yard line. Four-man rush, and then a little dump off, a little shovel pass, and that's pulled in by Matthew Hatchett, and he's taken down at the 30-yard line by the linebacker Jim Nelson.
Well, this is the type of thing that I was talking about at the top of the show, Al, about how Jeff George is sitting in the pocket, he's taking the hits, and he's delivering the football. If there were one thing that many people said about him when he was younger, is that he would go down in a situation like this. He wouldn't be looking to make a play. It's not an easy thing to do. It doesn't look that bad, but standing in there knowing you're going to get hit and delivering the football accurately, well, that's part of playing quarterback in the NFL.
He is 3 for his first 3 tonight for 28 yards. 2nd down, 8 now. Good protection, guns it, and there's another drop by Moss. Covered on the play by the rookie Antoine Edwards. It'll be 3rd and 8. Monday Night Football being brought to you by the people inspired to build vehicles for your mind and heart. Nissan Driven. PSI Net, the internet super carrier. Budweiser, delivered fresh daily from our local brewery near you. And Visa, the preferred card of the NFL. Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
Well, Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator of the Packers, has elected to play a lot of man coverage, and it kind of shocks me because of their youth in the secondary. But Randy Moss has just got to make that catch. And here comes the blitz. You can see it.
3rd down and 8. He has Smith and Horde both in the backfield with him. For added protection, then Smith releases, and he can't get it to him. Waddy covers on the play, and it's 4th down.
You can see both of these quarterbacks grinding a little bit. Both of the defensive coordinators from each of these teams know that they have to get back there. They can't let them be comfortable. And there is Emmett Thomas. And talking to the Green Bay coaches, you can't let Jeff George just sit back there. He will kill you. He's got a cannon for an arm. And Coach Fazio said the same thing about Brett Favre.
2:18 left first quarter, no score. Mitch Berger to punt. Antoine Edwards back to receive it. Oh, tremendous kick, 54 yards to the 16-yard line, and then a flag is thrown, and Edwards brings it back to the 36 with a marker down at the 22. Berger having a
You'll have holding on the
year.
Green Bay Packers, and it just seems when you're on the road like this, you can't have these mistakes. They've played well defensively, but special teams and offensive-wise, they just can't get it going.
That punt officially 55 yards.
During the return, holding by the receiving team, number 34. 10-yard penalty. They retain possession. 1st down.
That's Mike McKenzie. So the Packers will start deep in their own territory. 2:04 left in the first quarter. Green Bay nothing, Minnesota nothing. Green Bay Packers working against the league's 30th ranked defense, but you'd never know it from their first 3 series. A fumble and 2 punts, and a 1st down. Favre hit as he throws, and the ball is out of bounds. So that time, again, it was not ruled an incomplete pass. It was Jimmy Hitchcock who came in on the corner blitz. It was a live football, but it goes out of bounds, so possession is retained by Green Bay.
Oh, my goodness, I'll tell you, Coach Fazio is just emptying the defensive playbook, putting pressure on Brett Favre, knowing that he can't let him sit back there. This is not a play that's difficult to block, however. The tight end, number 81, Tyrone Davis, has got to pick up that blitz on the backside. He and Ross Verber, the left tackle, have to turn out and be able to pick that blitz up. There's no flare control for Brett Favre in that situation.
7-yard loss on the play. It was a live ball until it went out of bounds. And on 2nd and 17, Levens gets taken down at the 7-yard line by Chris Dolman. You have Ross Verba in the game at left tackle now. Mike Wall started, limped off. Verba's missed 3 games with a knee injury. In fact, had arthroscopic surgery, and now he's going to line up against Dolman.
Al, not only is it hard to hear down here, the snap count, the silent counts, all those other things, but Ross Verba and Tyrone Davis, it is hard to communicate with a guy that's just 2 feet away from you. That's why you have to be able to practice, and the fact that Verba has not been out there, I'm sure, has led to some miscommunication between the 2 players.
3rd and 15.
Now watch the tackles on the outside. They'll be looking in to watch for the snap of the ball so they don't get beat off the line of scrimmage.
Blitz is on, Favre throws, and the pass is caught by Freeman, but he is tackled shy of the 1st down. It was 3rd and 15. Kenny Wright is there to make sure he only got 12 and not 15, and they're forced to punt again.
Not a bad play. Get your team out of the hole. Give your punter some field position. Now Louis Aguiar doesn't have the ability to kick it to the sideline, and he also doesn't have the ability to just hang it down the middle 38 yards. He's got to try to drive this ball. And look for him to drive it to the wide side of the field and low. And then hopefully the ball will take and hop and then skip out of bounds over the 40-yard line.
Moss fair caught 1, let another one go out of bounds. Line of scrimmage is the 18. Aguiar.
Oh, got too much underneath it.
Tried to angle it. Moss will have a run back at the 41, but good coverage. However, Randy is still on his feet and is taken down at the 48-yard line. Nearly tackled early on. Randy Moss with Corey Bradford racing down, the wide receiver with a lot of speed, almost got him, but at least slowed him up until his mates could come into the action and take him down near midfield. Tuesdays, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, starting the 11th of January. NYPD Blue is back on ABC. The season premiere you've been waiting for, January 11th, NYPD Blue, right here on ABC.
And Al, they had an unbelievable lookout block on that last play by Dwayne Rudd, who took out Todd McBride, another one of the young defensive backs for the Packers. Keep your head on a swivel, boys, because you don't know where they're coming from.
From the 46-yard line. George throws. That's caught by Jake Reed. A flag goes down, and then Bernardo Harris takes him out of bounds with a marker down at the 27-yard line on what comes close to ending the period with 8 seconds left. Bonnie Holloway put the pressure on, and the call is against Green Bay after a 26-yard completion.
Talk about putting the pressure on.
Holding. Defense number 34. Penalty is declined. Play results in that. First down.
And that's exactly what Bonnie Holiday did. He actually had to run over Robert Smith. And here's the holding by McKenzie. Now, when you're playing against Randy Moss, you do all you can to keep him close to you.
That will be the end of the first quarter. Good. So we'll give you a radio call for the moment as Robert Smith takes the handoff, and Billy Lyon, the defensive tackle, meets him in the middle, and that's the end of the radio call because the picture is back. Third down.
You like TV better than radio anyway.
Well, I've grown
made
to,
for TV.
Yes, I've grown to.
Well, we were talking to Ray Rose last night about his football team, and you know, he says it's really hard to put his finger on it. In the beginning of the year, it was the offense was making mistakes, turning the ball over. Now all of a sudden it's the defense that can't make the stops, can't get the turnovers, and it's really been a struggle and a frustrating season thus far.
Third down and 12 out of the gun. You've got Horde and John Henry Mills in the backfield flanking Jeff George. George sends one down the sideline, incomplete, intended for Jake Reed, and he was covered step for step by Tyrone Williams. And there's a marker down.
You'll have offside on the defense, or they would have stopped the play.
Offsides. Defense. Left defensive end. 5 yards. Remains third down.
I think that last play to Jake Reed was kind of indicative of what the Vikings' problems have been this year. Last year, they lived on those big, long pass plays. They shortened the field. Randy Moss was all over the place. Chris Carter was all over the place. But this year, they're not getting those plays. It's been more of a struggle. It's been more of, you know, we got to go 10, 11 plays, and this is an offense that, you know, has lived on the big play. And it's still there, but it's just not there the way it was with Randall Cunningham last year.
Yeah, Randall had that unbelievable season, signed into a lucrative pact. And then out he came after a 2-4 Viking start for Jeff George. Third down and 7 after the penalty. Six-man rush, and George throws off his back foot, and Reed leaps for it, but he's out of bounds again. Mike McKenzie with the coverage, good double coverage in the corner of the end zone, and it's fourth down.
And let's give credit to Tyrone Williams and Mike McKenzie, the cornerbacks for the Green Bay Packers. They're step for step. They're right there. They're making plays. This was the third of the 3 DBs that was picked. There's Tyrone Williams, but Mike McKenzie has really found a spot on this football team. Look how he turns around and goes for the football and tries to knock it out. And young DBs don't do that very well, Al, and that's why he's found himself a starting spot on the Green Bay Packer defense.
Meanwhile, Minnesota forced now for a 43-yard field goal attempt by Gary Anderson, not having a good year, but you'd never know it with that kick. And the second leading scorer in the history of the NFL, only George Blanda has. Jets Dolphins next Monday. Berger's kick is fielded by Basil Mitchell. The rookie stumbles out to the 25-yard line. Mitchell, a rookie out of TCU. And Boomer, you know, you think back to the old days and old Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington. Of course, they never would have scheduled a Monday night game on this particular day in December, but I'm happy we're inside.
But I'm going to tell you something, Al. Back in 1993, I played for the New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills. Minus 35 outside in Rich Stadium at 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. It's fun. That's the way it was meant to be played. But You like it up here, don't you?
I love it up here, baby. So do you. You know you like it up here, too.
I do like it up here.
Remember Dan Fouts played in that game in Cincinnati where the wind chill was like -59, and he said he still has numb fingers from it. Here's Dorsey Levens.
Well, you talk about that game in Cincinnati. I was a senior at the University of Maryland at the time, and I was sitting there watching that game praying to God that they would not draft me. And then sure enough, the next year they drafted me. But it never got that cold since that day.
That was a complete aberration. And it was colder, I think, than it was for the Ice Bowl, the famous Ice Bowl game, Dallas and Green Bay at Lambeau Field.
Well, I was walking around outside today, and I mean, it was just downright chilly. The capital of cold, somebody told me today. That's what Minneapolis is.
Well, they're just getting even. The last time we were here in mid-November, it was 77. Second down and 9. Farr throws off his back foot and reaching for it at the 37-yard line with Dwayne Rudd draped all over him is Hall, Lamont Hall, the tight end. And somehow Hall able to twist back and make the catch and hold it in.
Well, Brett Favre read a blitz. He has to go to his hot receiver, and that's Hall. Now, Hall did not do a good job of looking right off the line of scrimmage, but he did adjust and he made a nice catch. Now, this is some of the problems that Brett Favre has had to endure. Now, you see the blitz coming right up the middle. He's got to throw the ball. The tight end has to realize that the blitz is coming, and he has to adjust much quicker than he did there. He made a much tougher throw than it had to be.
Favre out of the gun, drops it off underneath. It is caught by Bradford, and then he takes it out to the 47-yard line, close to a first down, tackled by Jimmy Hitchcock. Bradford's the guy who earlier this season in the first meeting between these teams at the end of the game on 4th down made that catch in the end zone to give Green Bay its win over Minnesota.
It was a great catch, and they have high expectations for this kid, and certainly the last few weeks he hasn't put up big numbers, but he's one of their go-to guys now, and Brett feels very comfortable with him. But again, it's a young receiving corps. It's not a receiving corps that he's been able to practice an awful lot of time with, and you can see the struggle.
First and 10 at the 47-yard line, and
Green
the
Bay.
Packers. Green Bay has it first and 10 at the 47-yard line with Brett Favre slinging it to the outside, and Schrader makes the catch. Bill Schrader at the 37-yard line going down to haul it in. First down, Green Bay.
I think that ball was on a line about 5 feet off the ground for about 16 yards. It shows you the type of strength he has in his arm, although it's not a great accurate throw. It's a terrific adjustment, however, by Schrader. Look how far off Tate is playing. That's interesting. We'll get into the situation about Robert Tate here in a second.
First down to the 36-yard line. That's Schrader's first catch of the game. Levens takes it to the 31-yard line. Griffith with the hit.
And we're talking about number 28, Robert Tate. He is the outside cornerback that comes in on nickel for the Minnesota Vikings. Al, a few weeks ago, he was a wide receiver. They're so thin in the defensive backfield that they just decided to give him a lower number and say, go out there and play that. Now, Denny Green says he's a terrific athlete, and he believes his future is here on defense, but it goes to show you how thin they are in defense that they have to bring a guy from the offensive side to play cornerback.
Ran a kickoff back for a touchdown last week, and Levens with a lot of room to roam all the way to the 11. Gaping hole over the right side, and Dorsey takes it down to the 11, a 20-yard gain.
What you're seeing here right now is the Green Bay Packers. They line up without a tight end. They spread the defense out. And the Vikings are not good tacklers inside. Take a look at this. Watch Levens go right in behind Henderson. Griffith takes a wrong angle. He makes Thomas miss. And these are the problems that now are apparent with this Viking defense and have been all year long.
First and 10 from the 12. Levens, look at that. To the 3-yard line, another gaping hole. Same spot. Thomas and Griffith come up to stop him. Earl Dotson, too, a guy playing with a bad back, a bulging disc, and he's going to have surgery as soon as the season's over.
But really, Al, it's all on the defensive line. I mean, nobody is in there slashing, making plays in the backfield. These are wide open holes that Dorsey Levens is running through. Somebody is making mistakes at the point.
Second and 2 from the 3. Levens to the outside, and Dorsey takes it to the 1. And that's a first down hit by Dwayne Rudd, and first and goal at the 1-yard line.
What happens if defensive linemen don't get penetration, they don't hit their right gaps, offensive linemen are able to come off and get onto linebackers. If they get onto the linebackers, gaping holes. And that's why it's so important for defensive linemen to be able to absorb 2 or 3 blockers. Now watch this. This is what you call running in the NFL is all about. You get in behind your center, you lower your head, and you go forward.
Now a 3 tight end set for Green Bay as they come to the line. At the 1. Line up in the eye. They give it to Dorsey. And he skates into the end zone. The Green Bay Packers have just moved 74 yards.
Well, they have certainly found a weakness on the right side of their offense. The defense is left. And you saw Dwayne Rudd just standing there in the middle of the end zone just looking disgusted and frustrated because he can't make the play because of the movement and the push on behalf of the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers. And there's Rudd disgusted.
Ryan Lodwell to tack on the 7th point. And so a very efficient and
nice. But somebody in that blue-gray game will get a Christmas present, show off his skills to some NFL scout, and be able to play maybe for one of these teams on a Monday night next year.
Christmas Day, Saturday, the kickoff comes down to Robert Tate, who loses the football on the yard line. And at the 23, in come the officials. No signal yet.
How do you know who has the ball? They're all wrestling.
I know, you've got 5
around.
zebras in there.
All right, come on, guys, get off.
Jim Nelson created the hit.
Yep.
He was the guy who made the hit, and Green Bay has it.
We just got done talking about how wonderful an athlete Robert Tate is, and he's actually been a good returner for the Minnesota Vikings. And when you get whacked around out there in special teams, take a look at this hit he takes. He's stumbling. And there it is. It's out. A nice shot by Mitchell.
And then the ball skitters back, and it's Damon Parker, Mitchell's alter ego, the other rookie back, who winds up recovering the ball.
All right. Skitters?
Skittles.
Skittles.
Right now, the Minnesota defense better not be skittering.
Well, I think the Packers found some weakness on that Viking defense. They kept their tight end on the bench, and they're coming out here with these 3 wideouts.
And now Brett tries to make it cash in, and Schrader reached down and almost had it.
Brett knows he had a touchdown. All he had to do was lay it out there, and Schrader's got it.
So going for the kill, the killer instinct, after you get the big turnover, you scored a touchdown, you recover the fumble on the ensuing kick, and why not go right for 6?
I like it. I like the way Sherm Lewis is calling the game. This is just an inside post against Tate. Now remember, number 28 was a wide receiver 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now you're out here trying to cover a wide receiver who is really starting to come into his own as a big-time player. Not an easy job for Tate. He's out there again one-on-one.
2nd and 10. Levens, they still can't stop him through the middle as he picks up about 5 to the 18. Dolman and Tony Williams get on the head.
When you take a look at the secondary of the Vikings, Al, Kenny Wright's a rookie, Chris Rogers a rookie, Jimmy Hitchcock, who has not played well at all this year. They are hurting back there, and now you bring in Tate, and you're asking him to cover one-on-one. Now, Foge is taking an unbelievable risk, especially when he decides to blitz, because all it takes is one of these athletic receivers to make a play over one of these young DBs.
3rd down, 6. Favre over the middle, first down, but extracting the football with a vicious hit. The Vikings.
What a great play by Antonio Freeman out. Did you see that?
He was hit by Orlando Thomas about as hard as you can hit a guy, made the catch, and then Antonio Freeman may be the guy who comes up with it. We'll see.
He doesn't have it. Number 58, Ed McDaniel, actually has the ball. What a play by Antonio Freeman after taking that vicious hit and having the presence of mind.
The ball was recovered by Green Bay.
What a tremendous play. There he is right there, and I'll tell you, my friend, That is a big-time tough play by a wide receiver coming across the middle. Now, Brett Favre has got to see this guy, number 42, sitting right there, and that's Orlando Thomas delivering a heck of a blow. Now, Freeman realizes, let's get the ball. It's right there.
It was 3rd and 6 at the 18. The ball is inside the 12-yard line now.
First, you can't even
finding money in the street early on when he gets hit. And this is Dorsey Levens to the 12-yard line.
Interesting. This is Sherm Lewis. Now, he likes to run a little bit more down here than, say, his predecessor, Mike Holmgren, who loves to throw in the red zone. So you'll see a little bit more of Dorsey Levens. But do you remember a few weeks ago we were in here and we were watching the Viking defense against the Dallas Cowboys just get totally ripped up, and then all of a sudden they turned it on and shut down that offense?
Right.
I don't know. I haven't seen that spark thus far from Minnesota.
Not yet. 2nd down and 10. The ball at the 12-yard line.
There's a spark.
Under pressure, forced to throw, but gets it away, and it is hauled in by the 7-yard line. Tony Williams nearly had the sack, but Favre's been there 100 times. He's been to that rodeo before and completes it.
You wonder why everybody says, you know, if we got a guy like this, Brett Favre, and we have a chance to win any game, and it's because of plays just like this. Not a panic, just kind of backs away from it, has the presence of mind and the strength of arm to deliver the football accurately. Now, this is his lowest season completion percentage in the red zone in his career. So he's not been very good down here this season.
This is his man Shimura. 3rd down and 5 from the 7-yard line. A little fade, and it's incomplete. Tried to get it to Bradford, but Hitchcock had perfect position on him, and it's 4th down.
Well, when you talk about Brett Favre, you know, his completion percentage coming in tonight for the season is 57%, almost 58%. That's the lowest for his career, but the last 4 games, he's completed almost 68% of his passes, so he's really come on
at a season average in terms of completion percentage. It's 4th and 5 here, and a 26-yard field goal attempt by Ryan Longwell. Matt Hasselback will hold it. Rob Davis will snap it, and the kick is good now because the Minnesota Vikings will get the football after the Longwell kick. Good angled kick taken by Tate on the sideline, and Tate brings it back out to the 34-yard line. Take a look at Boomer where Favre gets hit on the pass to Freeman here.
This is Dwayne Clemens coming around the corner late and hitting him, taking a shot right there. All those guys love to give you a shot. The next few plays, actually his last pass looked like he was missing a funny bone in his arm. The way he threw it, but he was kind of complaining to the coaches on the sideline that his arms seemed to have gone numb.
Tain't funny, McGee. Tain't funny, Clemens. 5:09 left in the opening half. 10-3 Green Bay. Ball at the 34. Jeff George and the Vikings. George tonight is 4 of 8 to 54 yards. Chris Walsh is in the game. Chris Carter is not. They have not thrown to Carter once tonight, and they go right to Walsh, and that's an errant toss.
And look who's in the backfield, Al. You know who that is, right? That's Leroy Butler, number 36, blitzing. He was talking about it all week this week that he wants to be in more in the blitz packages. He wants to get more involved. And he's reminiscing about his days under Fritz Shurmur, who brought him a lot. Ray Rhodes was telling us that this isn't that much of a different defense than what Fritz had when he was here.
2nd down and 10 from the 34-yard line, and that is hauled in by Jake Reed, who stretches, tries to pick up the 1st down. Here comes the official to mark it at about the 44, and it appears to be just a little bit short of the 1st down.
Great play by Jake Reed, and when we talked about it earlier, he had a mid-season slump, and you wonder if his mid-season slump coincided with the fact that Chris Carter was having a great season. Randy Carter was getting a lot written about him, and many thought that this guy, Jake Reed, you know, was on his last legs here in Minnesota, but not from what we've seen tonight. He's not.
3rd down, 1. Horde, the short yardage back. The fake to
you got him.
buys a ton of time, and Moss is free. Makes the catch. Touchdown, Minnesota. 57 yards off a wonderful play fake on a 3rd and 1. Bought a ton of time. Red McCombs, the owner of the team. Ray Rhodes knows his team has been so good 3rd and 1, but they pulled one out of the back of the book. Perfect.
And now it takes a little bit of everybody, but the most important thing to make a play like this work, terrific fake over the top. A great fake by Jeff George, and the speed.
10-10. Place is roaring. Basil Mitchell and Damon Parker, the 2 rookie backup running backs, back to receive it. 9-yard line, Basil Mitchell. And he brings it back out to the 28-yard line.
Well, that play was reminiscent of Peyton Manning faking to Edgerrin James and hitting a streaking Marvin Harrison down the field. And I think congratulations goes out to the Indianapolis Colts, Jim Mora, for winning the AFC East, and what a turnaround that has been.
On James. What an incredible job Bill Polian has done as well there.
It sure has.
Jim Irsay hanging in there all those years and gets the payoff.
You think Randy Moss loves playing against the Packers, Al? Well, we had him last year on a Monday night. Breakout game.
4 games against the Packers in his brief career, and he has scored at least 1 touchdown in each of them.
Now this is where it gets difficult to audible at the line of scrimmage like this.
The Favre throws, and it's almost intercepted. Almost picked off by Robert Tate.
The Packers also got away with a penalty there. Their right tackle, Earl Dotson, actually moved on the audible that Brett Favre was trying to go, and Mike Carey didn't throw the flag on him. And I think the defensive linemen are standing there at the line of scrimmage wondering, why didn't you throw the flag? Well, now you know why Robert Tate's playing defense instead of offense. He can't catch.
Meanwhile, for the Packers, Wall is back in the game. Mike Wall, Verba back on the bench. 2nd down and 10 from the 28-yard line. Here's Levens. And this time the defensive line stiffens with some help from the linebacker, Dwayne Rudd.
What is that now? Is that
I don't know what that is.
Are you allowed to do that? You allowed to do that, Al?
Some sort of prayer, I guess, huh? Holiday season.
Well, he's just thankful that nobody was blocking him with a big, large number of the Green Bay Packers. It's nice when those linebackers are able to run free and make tackles. When those big, giant linemen get on you, it's almost impossible to make a tackle. He's here in Minnesota, and that's part of the complaints that the Green Bay Packers have about this place.
3rd down and 9. Favre guns it and throws that one low. He's been low with a lot of throws tonight. At the feet of Freeman, there's a flag down.
Well, it has not been pretty. He's had guys open that he should be hitting in stride, and he's not been doing that.
Several times his receivers have had to go down to the turf to attempt to make the catch. Mike Carey getting the call from the field judge.
A couple of his throws look like he's short-arming those throws. He's not coming through and following through.
Field judge Pete Morelli signals a personal foul against Minnesota. Now this was a 3rd down
and 9,
so it would have been a 4th down, and they would have been forced to kick.
The interesting thing in talking to Ray Rhodes about Brett Favre and what he means to this franchise and what he means to this football team.
Before the ball was thrown, personal foul, major face mask,
major.
Defense, number 28.
And that is major. That's the difference. A minor or the 5-yard garden variety face mask, it would not have been a 1st down. This is a 1st down.
Well, Robert Tate's finding himself in the spotlight tonight. Let's take a look at this. There it is. Definitely. Well, I don't know if it's major, but again, remember that Robert Tate was a wide receiver just a few weeks ago, and they're asking him to come out here and cover Antonio Freeman and Bill Schrader and Corey Bradford. It's a very difficult thing to do if you're him.
Yeah, with Brett Favre on the other end of the string, too. 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line.
Now they've taken him off the field, and they're putting Rodgers back out there.
And Favre throws and guns it in. What a throw as he hits Antonio Freeman, who is in a triangle. 3 Vikings are there surrounding him, and Favre throws it on a string for an 18-yard completion to the 39-yard line.
Now that's the Brett Favre that everybody knows, and I was talking about before the penalty, why Brett Favre is so important to this football team. It's because when he struggles, it's no big deal to him. He'll just come back and he'll keep flinging until he gets it right, and he'll throw it right into a crowd. He doesn't care. And he's a gunslinger out there, and he's got a heart as big as anybody in the league, and he's as tough as anybody in the league.
From the 38-yard line, draw. Levens taken down as Robert Griffith, the ever active one, comes up from the secondary to make the hit. Monday Night Football being brought to you by Jeep Grand Cherokee with legendary off-road capability. Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down. Make it a Bud Light. Samsung Digital. Everyone's invited. And CNET, the source for computers and technology at cnet.com.
No, now, and I want to kill this point, but when the Packers were having trouble, Brett Favre never pointed the fingers to coaches, other players. He just said, I have to play better, and I will play better. That's the voice of a true leader.
2-minute warning with the game tied 10-10. 37-yard line. Favre slings it, and that's incomplete. Trying to get it into Schrader. And Robert Tate says, not this time.
You think they're picking on Robert Tate? I'm sure they are. They keep going there, and that's the sign of a good offensive coordinator. He knows where there is an inexperienced player. They want to go after him, and so far he's made some plays, and he's made some bad plays, and he's gotten beat. But all in all, given the fact that it's Monday night and you're going against this offense, he's not doing a bad job. He's still giving a lot of space now. Ooh, he even gets there a little early. He's got a break as well. Maybe he thinks he's Deion. Maybe they think he's Deion Sanders now.
I don't think so. Third down and 8, and Favre throws, caught by Bradford. And Corey converting a big third down play for a first down to the 21-yard line, tackled by Griffith, 15-yard gain.
My question to you is, where is Jimmy Hitchcock? Why is he playing so far off, and how come you can deliver a ball about 5 yards downfield and allow Corey Bradford to make the play? Jimmy's the deep guy. There's also a guy underneath him, and that's Kenny Wright, number 20, and he's got to get under there as well. So it's not always one guy, but you would think that Hitchcock, and a player that he's supposed to be, should be able to make that play.
Four-man rush. Good job on the offensive front, and it is caught. It is Antonio Freeman going down, making the catch at the 7-yard line, and a first and goal.
So now Coach Fazio has decided not to blitz. I can't imagine that he's going to let him sit back there in this particular play as well. But again, if you're not blitzing, you can't give him those free lanes, and the ability to throw the ball and allow Freeman to go down and get it. You have to make him uncomfortable. You have to make Brett Favre nervous back there, and they've gotten away from that.
First and goal. Pack taking its time. They have one timeout left, but in a perfect world, they'll score and leave Minnesota no time at the end of the half. From the 7, Favre throws. It's caught at the 6-yard line. Levens pulls it in and then gets gang stopped. And the Packers are going to take their final timeout here.
Timeout.
There's Ron Wolf,
who
who has done such a magnificent job as the architect of this team. Favre will come to the bench. What's coming up at the half?
Matchups on the outside, or somebody cutting across the middle. Where is Mark Chimura when you need him?
Second and goal, and it is caught by Henderson, but he's tackled at the 3. And remember, they don't have a timeout. So now it is third and goal. So do you go for it? Do you down it and kick the field goal?
He's going to down it, it looks like.
And so here's a situation where he has to down it. They can't even go for the touchdown. And isn't it interesting that the early challenge by Ray Rhodes comes back to bite him, and that's
game differently, and those can come back to haunt them later on in this game.
22-yard field goal attempt by Longwell is good.
Bay leaving all 3 of their timeouts at the end of the game and not using one of them to get some time back on the clock to give their offense a chance to score.
Longwell sends a bouncing kick that goes out of bounds, and that means it'll come back to the 40-yard line.
And how dangerous is this now?
Well, you give Jeff George an opportunity to at least throw a long pass.
40-yard line. First down.
And maybe get a pass interference.
Well, he could throw it about 75, maybe 80 yards. You know, here's the Hail Mary right here. If there was ever a spot for it, it's this right here. So leave everybody in, send you 3 big, tall, wide receivers out. You're talking about Hatchett at 6'2", Jake Reed at 6'3", Randy Moss at 6'4", and send them down there, and it becomes a basketball rebounding drill against 6'1", 6 foot, and 5'11".
You must want to line up in your 110 defense.
To me, you would think that that's what they would do, but it doesn't look like they're lined up in this situation.
Just a three-man front here. George will spread them out. The Packers safeties are all the way back at their own 10-yard line, and they go underneath.
Well, this is going to be like flip it around time.
Right, this is Hatchet, but there's nobody there to flip it to apart from an offensive lineman.
I don't understand that, Al. Why not take a shot? Sleep. It's a big problem in the NFL during the winter months. When you go into those meeting rooms during the week, it's kind of warm and toasty in there. A lot of guys that could nod off a little bit, Al.
I'll bet. Longwell's kick, fielded by Tate at the goal line. And Tate skirting the sideline with a good run back, and he's forced out of bounds by the kicker, Longwell, and they'll spot it all the way up near the 41-yard line. Let's go down to the field now. Leslie Visser. Leslie?
Al, both coaches would like a little more offense. So far to them is a puzzlement. Well, as for Ray Rhodes, he said Brett Favre is okay. He did get hit in the back. He was numb for a little while. They went through all the routine checks. He's all right. He said that Minnesota has been blitzing them off the corners, so they've got to stay out of tight formations. Denny Green said he's really pleased with Robert Tate's play. Said so far best guy on the field. As for Chris Carter, he said not likely to return. Al?
Thank you, Leslie. Well, Tate saved the touchdown, tackling Henderson, just ran the kickback 41 yards.
Well, now they have to be calling it on the offense if they're stopping the play. There you go. So
number 82 of the offense, 5 yards, remains first down.
Andrew Glover.
But my thought here, Al, is that I don't know how much longer you can keep a Minnesota Viking offense down that's used to just running up and down the field. Now, the Packer defense has done a pretty good job tonight, except for the one time that Tyrone Williams was caught looking in the backfield. There's just too much talent on this field to hold it down much longer.
That was the 3rd and 1 play to Randy Moss, which George began with a great play fake. Here it's first down and 15. George slings it, and that's incomplete. Try to jam it into Jake Reed. Take a look at the numbers for the first 30 minutes of play. Of course, the Randy Moss play was the big play for Jeff George and the Vikings, accounting for a good portion of their passing yardage.
Well, the nice thing here also, if you take a look at it, there's only been one turnover on each side, only resulting in 3 points for Green Bay. So from that standpoint, both teams have played solidly, and they look to kind of continue that this second half.
The turnover was the Tate fumble on the run back on 2nd and 15. That pass to Smith is incomplete. Robert looks around for a flag and doesn't find one. Jude Waddy timing his move perfectly. 3rd down. Jeff George, the #1 guy picked in the 1990 draft.
This is certainly a play that Robert Smith should make. He's as good out of the backfield as most in this league, and again, it's a lack of concentration. When you see guys dropping balls like that, they're just kind of going through the motions, and that's unlike Robert Smith. He's a true professional that usually doesn't happen to.
On 3rd and 15. Pressure put on, a little dump off pass to Ford, and the former Michigan Wolverine taken down up at the 43-yard line by Bonnie Holiday.
Well, the Packer defense is continuing to pressure. They're blitzing still. They're putting pressure on Jeff George and making him move around. Interestingly, they are doubling Randy Moss. They're keeping 2 guys to him, and they're making sure that he does not beat them. He's got to make sure to do that in 3rd and 1 again next time.
Antoine Edwards dropping back, 4th down. Mitch Berger, 2nd in the league in punting coming into the game. Only Tom Ruin of Denver with a better average, and this is a beauty. Flag is thrown, fair caught at the 11-yard line. The flag's down at the line of scrimmage.
We'll have another illegal man downfield by the Vikings. That kind of an inauspicious start for the Vikings here in the second half, and offense kind of sleepwalking a little bit, and now a bad play on the punt.
Ineligible member of the kicking team, downfield, number 21, 5 yards, replay, 4th down.
That is Mo Williams, and Dennis Green now looking on. Instead of his defense coming out on the field with Green Bay back at the 11, they're forced to punt again.
Well, remember, no Chris Carter. He's in uniform, but he's not on the field. The last time we were in here against the Dallas Cowboys, he almost single-handedly took this game over.
He did. Remember that the cannon went off prematurely
Yes,
on the touchdown catch?
And he is he is the heartbeat of the Vikings. There's no question about it, and there he is. And give him credit for even being out here. And I don't know why he's running on it like this. If he's not going to play, and we don't expect to see him, the thing that I would say is get him inside, put the ice on the ankle, and let's keep him for the next 2 weeks, or at least try to get him back for the next 2 weeks.
Dennis Green told Leslie he wasn't going to play, but maybe he hasn't told Chris yet.
Another nice kick.
Berger sends this one, another flag. This one is caught at the 16-yard line, so the kick was the same distance. But again, we have a situation where we have an ineligible man downfield again.
Huh.
Ineligible member of the kicking team, downfield, number 45. 5 yards, 4th down.
John Henry Mills.
You could tell in Mike Carey's voice that even he's a little annoyed by this whole thing.
Yeah. And Gary Zauner, the special teams coach.
Well, they're getting a lot of practice. That's the way you look at it. I mean,
each of Berger's punts has been 46 yards. Gary giving his troops a Z for effort.
Well, at least Berger's consistent. So now where would that put the ball if he kicked another one? Figure it out
at
quick.
The 21-yard line, which is exactly where Antoine Edwards is standing right now.
He knows. He's schooled. Actually, he's moving up a little bit. Those guys got to be tired from running down the field now.
Here they go again. This time there is no flag, and it rolls all the way through. Edwards, did he touch the ball?
He's acting like it.
Boy, he came close. He better hope he didn't. It is down to the 8-yard line. He came very close to touching the ball. And Harold Morrow is there, and so is.
And the Viking players are saying that he did.
Absolutely. They are contending that he touched the football, which would make it a live football.
Oh, you know, he's a cool customer if he touched the ball.
Whoa.
No, it didn't look like he did. If he touched the ball and he did this, he's a cool customer.
Yes, he is. Yes.
He's well beyond his years.
Either that or he's going right to the corner with a dunce cap. 13:35 left in the third.
It's tough to put your finger on it. That's something that powers some to get anything done. But when somebody's got this kind of drive, you'll know. Just look at their truck. Welcome to Ford country, land of the Indestructibles and home of the F-Series. When you're built Ford tough, you're out to take on anything.
Angle that shows an even better look at it.
But clearly, he did not touch it.
Right.
As Levens takes it out to the 14. Had he touched it, you can be guaranteed there would have been a challenge.
Right, and take a look at this. It almost hits his elbow pad right there. But how cool is Antoine Edwards? Well, he knew it didn't touch him. He'd really be cool, though, if it did touch him, and he walked away just like that.
Yep.
I wonder if punt returners ever think that. Like, you know, maybe if I just walk away, I can get away with it.
In the pre-replay days, you might have been able to think that way. 2nd down and 6. And this is Henderson, who makes the catch and is taken down a little short of the 1st down.
You know, for Green Bay Packer fans that are watching Brett Favre and the way he's throwing the football the last few weeks, it's little plays like this, taking the underneath guys. You saw him do it down in the red zone at the end of the 1st half, and this is allowing the game to come to you, not forcing the issue, getting yourself in manageable 3rd down situations, not being in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 3, easier plays to convert.
Jerry Ball comes ambling off on 3rd down and 2 from the 18-yard line.
You said he came rolling off.
Yes.
Al.
Fake toss, rolling, throwing, caught, 1st down. Schrader up to the 25-yard line, and Bill Schrader making his 2nd catch of the night. Here's a guy who has caught at least 3 passes in every game this season.
Well, you talk about 3rd and short, you can run all these little plays like this, and you can roll them out. You can find Schrader in the seam of the zones, and that's what they talk about when you have the game. Let the game come to you as a quarterback. Just take the short guys. Don't force things down the field. And on the road, that's what you have to do. You have to eat up time and just play methodical type of football.
1st and 10 at the 25, packed by 3 early in the 3rd. Levens runs into his own man. He ran right at the
Easy,
back
easy,
of
guys.
Raleigh McKenzie. And it is 2nd and 10, and Sherm Lewis will send in the next play. Enhanced TV is online right now. Up to the minute stats, interactive games and trivia at ESPN.com or NFL.com. Enhanced TV. Each team trying to enhance its playoff chances right now. Remember, each team controls its own playoff destiny, and if Green Bay can win all 3 games, they win the division title. 2nd down and 10. Favre underneath Levens, and Dorsey bangs up to the 30. It's going to set up a 3rd and 5.
Still a real good play, just managing, moving the ball down the field, getting Dorsey Levens involved. Now, remember last week, I believe that Brett Favre ran for 5 first downs.
He did.
And that's not what you want if you're a Packer fan. It's not what you want if you're a Packer coach. It's great to keep the chains moving and that type of thing, but you want to get Dorsey Levens involved. Now, remember, he has not played the last 2 weeks because he's had a cracked rib. Now, I can't imagine that rib would be healed right now, do you?
No way. 3rd down and 4. You saw McCarthy calling in the play after he had gotten a play call from Lewis. Crowd in full throat. On 3rd and 4, down he goes in the arms of Tony Williams. The Vikings with a huge defensive play.
Vikings get away with one here, only rushing 4, and Tony Williams coming right up the middle, actually splitting Frank Winters, the center, and Dorsey Levens, who has to stay in and try to block him. And Dorsey kind of missed it. It's not his guy. He's in there to help. He'll never be asked to block a nose tackle. Watch him come right up the middle. There's Dorsey. He sees him. And Frank Winters gets beat at the point of attack. Not a good play by the center, and certainly not a good effort by Dorsey Levens on that one.
Louis Aguiar to punt. Randy Moss is back to receive it. Randy hauls it in at the 33-yard line, swinging to the outside, and then just
see, that's the
goes
thing
out of
right
bounds
there.
at the
I don't
45.
know why he does that.
I don't know either.
That would drive the Chicago Bears that never ran out of bounds. Yeah. And I don't get it sometimes. I really don't. I don't care how good you are.
From the 45-yard line.
Got him.
George throwing and knocked down. The ball floating, wobbling, intended for Reed, and it's the rookie Mike McKenzie, one of 11 rookies in the league who's made every one of his team starts this year, knocking it down. Rookie out of Memphis.
Mike McKenzie caught a break because Jeff George didn't throw the ball out there far enough. Jake Reed had McKenzie beat down the sideline, and it seemed like Jeff just tried to throw it off his back foot. Now, he has a great arm, but step into it and throw it out there, and you have a touchdown.
2nd and 10 at the 45-yard line. And that is caught on a slant, hauled in by Moss. That's close to a first, appears to be a little short. As Carter looks on, Sharper made the tackle.
We always talk about the way these offensive and defensive coordinators are trying to play games with one another, trying to figure out what's going on. That time, Ray Sherman felt that the blitz was coming from Green Bay. It did come. He called a little slant pattern to Randy Moss, who was one-on-one, and it was the perfect play and good execution by the receiver and Jeff George.
Last time Sherm Lewis looked on, and Emmett Thomas as well defensively. Minnesota Moss split wide right. This time more conventionally on the ground, and Horde goes nowhere. Bad Gilbert Brown saying no, sir.
That's the man you want right in the middle. And the interesting thing here is that you line up in a wide-out, spread-open offense. You have no fullback. And Gilbert Brown, he lives for stuff like this.
He does.
He really does.
And that's why we mentioned before, Green Bay has been tremendously efficient defensively when faced with 3rd and 1 all year.
Look at 93 right there. Here he comes. Just pushing him. Oh, man, look at that. Look how he pushes McDaniel down and collapses the line of scrimmage. That's the way you play defensive line.
Only Miami has been better defending 3rd and 1, and that forces a punt, and Berger's kick will bounce at the 15 and then take a good Minnesota diagonal bounce. And it might have been that or a triple Lutz.
Or a triple Lutz, I don't know.
I was reading the card, or a triple clutch. Here is Dorsey Levens up to the 13-yard line for a gain of 3.
Well, you know we're going to hear about that, Al, because I'm not really sure what that was, but whatever it was pretty athletic.
I'm going to call Dick Button at home.
How about call Peggy Fleming?
I'll call Peggy at home, absolutely. Get Peggy on the phone.
Here comes Jerry Ball off the field again.
Doing a Sal count.
It'd be great to play one play and then come on off the field, stand on the sideline.
Second down and 8. Ball at the 12. Halfway through the third quarter. Green Bay up by 3. Draw. Levens. Big hole. And up to the 19-yard line. So they take Ball out. And then Ed McDaniel has to come up to make the stop after Green Bay exploits the middle.
Well, one thing you do know is when this defense comes on the field in this particular stadium, they get all jacked up, the noise, and they all want to make sacks. And Sherm Lewis knows that. And a good way to attack an attacking defense like that is to run screens and draws. And when you have a guy like Dorsey Levens who truly runs with authority and comes out and comes after you, there's Sherm Lewis. That's the guy you want to give the ball to.
They put Ball back in the game. Levens coming off the cracked rib. 20 carries, 89 yards, and Brett Favre trying to sneak for a first down. Boomer talked about 5 rushing first downs last week for Favre, mainly on scrambles. Mike Carey will bring in the chains.
This was definitely a called play. This wasn't something that Brett Favre did on his own. So that's a long yard for a sneak.
Sometimes the longest yard. And behind Frank Winters he went.
And how important is this game, Al? If Green Bay could win this game, they could win the NFC Central, but they have a huge tough game next week against Tampa.
At Tampa.
Right, and Tampa coming off just a dreadful performance against the Oakland Raiders.
Look at this. Mike Carey gets down and takes a peek.
4th down.
And says it's 4th down.
But I think both defenses are playing that type of fever pitch playoff type of defense that you need to make it to this point. And I'm very impressed with the Green Bay defense because they're doing it here in this stadium.
Impact of tonight's game, winner controlling its own destiny. Loser still alive, but will need help to get to the playoffs. And again, Green Bay can win the division outright, guarantee at least a home game in the playoffs. And this is a tremendous punt by Aguilar. Backs Moss up to his own 26-yard line. And then Moss brings it back to the 42-yard line.
Out the bounds of play and the way the game should be played. I don't care how great you are. But there's a certain way to play this football game, and that's not the way to play it.
No, you don't step on a guy on your way back out to the field, even if you have signed a new sneaker contract. Gain of 1 for Smith, second down and 9.
And here's Rob Davis. Now, I played with him in New York when we were with the Jets, and there isn't a finer guy in the league. I can't imagine him saying anything or doing anything that would have made Randy react that way. That's classless, and it's not the way the game is meant to be played.
Agreed. Second down and 9 at the 41-yard line. George has to throw it away. Actually tried to throw it to Moss, but it would have been caught behind the line of scrimmage, and Jim Nelson put the hit on George at that. More and more action. First-year guy out of Penn State, seeing a lot more action tonight.
And they're not happy with George Kuntz, who's been an outside linebacker with them for a number of years, and they want to get a guy in there that's going to make some plays. And one of the things that has been written about the Green Bay Packer defense is that their linebackers are not playmakers.
Well, they're missing their key linebacker, Brian Williams. He's out for the season with an injury. Third down and 9 from the 41-yard line. George, not known for his mobility, but makes it work this time for a first down to the 40-yard line.
Well, this is the new Jeff George that we're talking about, a guy that will take chances, and he'll go down and make plays. And he says he's happiest. He's happier now than he's ever been in his entire career, and plays like this are indicative to that. And certainly when you see Jeff George take off and run, it's not a thing of beauty, I can tell you that.
No, it's only the second first down he's rushed for this year. The other was in the Monday night game we had with Dallas.
Yeah, but he's a pretty good athlete. I don't know why he doesn't do more of this. I'm not saying that he's going to get 15 yards every time he takes off, but
did it at a very opportune time. 17-yard gain. They give it to Robert Smith. to the 39-yard line, and a special guest is alongside, Miss Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Alan Boomer, he is
boy.
running the state of Minnesota in a most unusual way. Number 98 for the Minnesota Vikings, Governor Jesse Ventura.
And you might see right there on the back is the name.
That's right, he was presented this by the Vikings. Governor, you grew up in Minnesota. What
Yes.
can you tell us about this rivalry?
Well, it's a great rivalry going back to the old days of Vince Lombardi, Carl Eller, Bud Grant. It's gone on for years and years, and it'll go into the new millennium. It's always the natural rivalry, Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Of course, you're a former Navy SEAL, a mayor, a talk show host, a wrestler. What could wrestling teach the NFL?
Well, wrestling can teach the NFL a little better showmanship, you know. Wrestling doesn't always, when they do a little move, make such a big show out of it. You know, out here they make a first down, like Bud Grant says, make it look like you do it all the time.
I think we could get Alan Boomer to wear a boa.
I think Boomer ought to get a haircut like me. You know, I'm a alpha man.
We know.
You know, and alpha men walk around like this.
We might be needed on the field. Thanks
All right.
a lot. Back
Alpha
to you
man
guys.
with a big old cranium. That's what that is.
Jesse Ventura, he knows a lot about football.
He knows a lot about showmanship. is what
Among
he
other
does.
things, he used to be a broadcaster on Vikings radio. 3rd down and 6 from the 38-yard line. And that is caught by Jake Reed. A great catch in front of Darren Sharper for a first down.
A dangerous throw by Jeff George, but you could see the explosive nature of his arm and the toughness of Jake Reed, who has now certainly solidified himself on this football team once again. This is a cover 2 man, Al. Here is the cornerback trailing, and there's the safety Sharper not getting over there quick enough. And if there's one thing when you talk about Darren Sharper is whether or not he's better suited playing cornerback as opposed to being safety. As safety, you have to have certain instincts to go after the football when you're not playing somebody.
Here is Robert Smith trying to pick and thread his way. Gets to the 18-yard line, tackled by Bernardo Harris.
And what I mean by that is that when you're in a zone coverage like that, you have to kind of anticipate things happening. And you have to know where the quarterback thinks he's going to go with the football. Now, Jeff George is going to be throwing the ball into a lot of places that most quarterbacks won't even take an opportunity to do that. But, again, Sharper, if he gets there quicker, can make a better play on the football.
Passing situation, so Brown comes out, 2nd down and 8. Under 3 minutes left, 3rd quarter. Green Bay leading 13-10. Flushed out, throws incomplete. Randy Moss double covered in the back of the end zone. Leroy Butler got a hand on it.
Seemed like they had everybody over there. They tried to drag Randy Moss across the entire field. And Jeff George got flushed out of the pocket and basically just threw it towards the back of the end zone. If this guy makes a play, great. If not, we'll line up and do it again on 3rd down. And here he comes, kind of going through the zones, putting his arms up. And there's Mike McKenzie and Leroy Butler right there. But it was a good throw by Jeff George. It's the only shot you have for a touchdown, and if he doesn't make it, it goes out of bounds.
3rd and 8. If they don't get a yard on this play, you're looking at about a 36-yard field goal attempt to tie the game, and the play clock goes to 0. There was contact up front.
They're going to call legal motion by the Minnesota Vikings, but before the play, however, Al, Mike Carey was trying to get the play clock back to 25, and they never moved it.
False start on the offense, number 77, 5 yards, 3rd down. There's no foul for delay of game.
No foul for delay of game, and the reason he says that is because he knows that he was trying. Take a look. We'll see right there at the end of the bottom of your screen, and that's Corey Stringer moving. That shouldn't be happening to the offensive lineman in this building for the home team.
3rd down and 13. Now, if they don't get any yard on this play, you're looking at about a 41-yard attempt, 42-yard attempt for Gary Anderson, who's been erratic to say the least this year. George for Reed. Threw it out of bounds. Reed looks for a flag and gets one. Penalty. Mike McKenzie pleading his case to the field judge.
Well, Mike McKenzie gets turned around at the line of scrimmage and then does all he can to get on top of Reed.
Number 34 of the defense. Automatic.
And he kind of runs him out of bounds, but the question I would have is this ball catchable, and does that even make a difference in this particular situation?
Very good question. Exactly. Is the ball catchable?
He gets spun around at the line of scrimmage. Now take a look at this ball. I mean, I don't know. From that angle, we can't tell, but it didn't look like it was. McKenzie gets. Jake Reed does a nice job of setting him up, and there the ball lands clearly out of bounds.
First and goal now. Leroy Horde is in the game. He's the tailback, and there's some confusion here as he looked toward the bench. And then George throws into the back of the end zone, and that's incomplete, intended for the tight end Glover, and there's a flag down in the end zone. Ineligible man downfield, which is a tough thing to do when you're at the 2-yard line, but they're able to pull it off.
Illegal substitution. On the defense,
Packers.
12 men on the field. Half
That's
position
what it
to the goal. Remains first down.
So tough, it didn't happen.
The interesting thing was Leroy Horde was actually looking like he was yelling over here, but I think he was telling Mike Carey that there were 12 men on the field. How smart is Leroy Horde to be able to pick that up?
Yep. First down and goal, the ball at the 1-yard line. Toss to Horde. Well, he did a lot of running to try to get to the goal line. Stopped by Anthony Davis.
Al, I used to love playing with players like Leroy Horde that are so into the game, that see the game from all angles. And basically, here's a guy who is, wouldn't you say, kind of an unsung type of guy on this team? Robert Smith gets all the juice in terms of the press and how great he is, but Leroy Horde does.
He is their short yardage guy. Every time they get inside the 5, he's in the backfield. The downside to Horde, though, is he is a fumbler.
One-on-one with Randy Moss down here at the bottom of the screen. Here it comes.
Second and goal. Catch. Touchdown.
You know, if he showed that kind of excitement as he jumps into the stadium as he did on all of his pass routes and punt returns, he'd be a complete football player, I think.
2 touchdowns for Moss tonight.
They put Darren Sharper on him because Darren Sharper is 6'2", 210. And you can take a look at this. This is just basketball, and this is just boxing out and making a rebound.
That position on.
Well, there's Jeff George talking to Chris Carter, and George is telling him, look, I read the defense. He gives a signal out there to Randy Moss right there. He knows that he has one-on-one. He knows that Leroy Butler is blitzing. This is what a veteran quarterback can do in a big game. Make the audible, throw the football, and avoid the rush.
And
Great
Leroy
play
Butler,
by Jeff George. Excuse me.
Butler almost knocked it down. It's fielded at the 2-yard line by Basil Mitchell. And he brings it back to the 22. And I thought it was great just the way Jeff George gave him just a little hand motion. Just a little hand motion to Randy Moss. It's like, you're my guy. And he was. Monday Night Football being brought to you by Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. Microsoft, where do you want to go today? Philips, technology that's making life a little better all the time. And Man on the Moon, starring Jim Carrey.
The beautiful shot of the Metrodome, and inside right now, this is where the heat starts picking up on Brett Favre and the offense of the Green Bay Packers. They have to answer. Even if they don't score points, they got to stay on the field, kind of give their defense a little bit of a rest. And this is where you find out whether or not you have what it takes to go to the playoffs.
Ross Verba back in at left tackle. They begin with Levens on the ground. One change from Minnesota here defensively, too. With Anthony Bass in the game, Orlando Thomas sprained shoulder, and they're working on him. Sunday Night Football comes to you from San Francisco, where the 49ers host the NFC East leading Washington Redskins. And then Boomer and I, along with Leslie, in Miami next Monday night for the Dolphins, now 9-5, hosting the New York Jets. Dan Marino and company next Monday night.
Interesting, Leslie told us at the beginning of the second half that they were finding some success in this particular offensive set. We'll see if they can continue to do that. Watch out.
Second down and 8, going deep and into double coverage, and the pass well underthrown.
Oh, man.
John Randall decks Brett Favre, and there's double coverage on Corey Bradford. And Brett grimacing.
But how tough is Brett Favre? He gets whacked by John Randall, and John Randall inside, coming free, and watch him go right around Raleigh McKenzie with that patented spin move that he has. And just absolutely drill. I can't tell you how much that hurts. It just hurts watching it. And what I like about there is that he did not hit with the head. He hit with his shoulder, and that's the way you're supposed to hit and drive him to the ground.
And he won't miss a play. 3rd down and 8 from the 23-yard line. Levens, nothing.
You'd wonder why Sherm Lewis wouldn't call a pass play. He knows that Brett Favre just got whacked. And he's not going to risk Brett Favre dropping back, not being clear-headed enough to throw the football down the field. So certainly a conservative call, but he's doing it to protect his quarterback.
Very good point.
Now watch this. Bang. And he's looking up to see if it gets completed, and then he's going to grimace on that.
Yep. He's like Ripken, though. Forget missing games. He doesn't miss a play.
He doesn't. He's a tremendous competitor. His heart is as big as anybody's in the...
Louis Aguiar to punt. Randy Moss back.
Uh-oh. Return time.
32-yard line. Nothing to the left. Swing into the right.
Whoa.
Fumbles the ball, and Green Bay, what a tremendous play by Basil Mitchell to break loose, to get it loose, and Todd McBride plucking it out of the air, and not only gaining control, but doing it before he goes out of bounds at the 37-yard line.
And the counseling begins on the sideline of the Minnesota Vikings, again out. I'm telling you that the nonchalant ways of Randy Moss just seem every now and again to get him in trouble. And first of all, the ball should be in the outside arm, the other arm, and he takes a whack. He leaves his feet. Now, I don't question the fact that I just think that sometimes his concentration wanes and things just don't go right for him. You always have to be on edge. You always have to be thinking.
McBride had a recovery last week against Carolina. Does it again here. Caught by Jeff Thomason. His first catch of the night, and that is the end of the 3rd quarter in a while.
Every now and again, he loses his focus, and I think that's what's killing him right now.
And Green Bay has the ball, trying to capitalize on the Moss fumble. Randy had 2 fumbles last week in the game in Kansas City, which the Chiefs won at the end.
He's had a drop pass tonight, but yet he's had 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
And talking to Chris Carter on Friday night, he had told me that, look, this kid has got so much talent that it's scary. He's 22 years old. He's a millionaire. He's in a big-time game. This is his theater, and he will learn through the school of hard knocks. And certainly we've all gone through that.
Well, he's been a little bit of everything tonight. 2nd and 6, and that is caught by Schrader. And so Schrader, in this, the 14th game of the season, has caught 3 passes, and we mentioned before he's caught at least 3 in every game this season.
And maybe it's because I don't possess the ability that a Randy Moss does. It always seemed like it came so hard to me that when a guy is running in a nonchalant fashion or a smooth fashion like he does, it just kind of gives me the wrong feeling.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree with you, too. So Green Bay has lost the last 18 road games in which they've trailed going into the 4th quarter, and that is the case here tonight. But they're trying to retake the lead. 3rd down and 2. Favre swings it to Dorsey Levens, and Levens is out of bounds. A flag is thrown at the 2-yard line.
I think you're going to probably have some sort of pick inside against the Green Bay offense, excuse me. They might call it pass interference, but it's more like a pick. It was either on Thomason or Antonio Freeman coming inside trying to pick off the linebackers and not allowing them to cut outside on Dorsey Levens.
Pass interference. Offense, number 86. 10 yards, 3rd down.
It is on Freeman. He's coming in motion inside. Take a look at this play here. Now this is his job. It's to get in the face of the linebacker. Here he comes right here. He'll be coming inside. Now watch what he does. He turns his back and he kind of tried to hockey hip check right there. Although not very good. And Ed McDaniel knows that that's happening. I've seen worse than that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yes. And so instead of 1st and goal, it is 3rd down and 12 at the 18-yard line. And Brett taken off, slides to a halt at the 9-yard line, and that will force them to go for the field goal. on 4th down here with Kenny Wright making the stop to try to pull them within 1 point.
And Brett Favre is down now, complaining to the officials about them holding on to Antonio Freeman. Now everybody's trying to work angles out here.
It's like life. It's just my life,
like
a microcosm, isn't it? Everybody's working an angle.
Yeah, it's kind of like television. You're right.
Like a lot of businesses.
More like television than any other business.
I don't know about that. This is a 28-yard field goal attempt for Ryan Longwell. And Hasselbeck to put it down. A fake. Hasselbeck's a quarterback. He throws. It is caught by Thomason for the touchdown. And that's one of the huge benefits of having a holder as your backup quarterback, a guy who knows how to throw, used to it. Steve Ortmeyer, the special teams coach.
And give Steve Ortmeyer a lot of credit, because these coaches on a weekly basis spend hours in film. And he probably has the most difficult film to analyze, because he's watching the most boring part of the game sometimes. And they notice that the Minnesota Vikings will collapse on the outside, sell all out, and they'll run the fake in the face of it, and nobody is responsible for Thomason.
Hasselbeck's first career touchdown pass. Longwell with the extra point. Dennis Green. So the crowd stunned by Green Bay as the Packers, with Hasselbeck hitting Thomason off the field goal fake on top by 3. Exultant along the sideline. And now back to business. Longwell kicks off. Robert Tate fields at the 6-yard line. And Robert Tate with a flag down brings it back to the 36.
And we'll probably have holding. So bring it back. But Al, did you see Hasselbeck celebrate after that touchdown?
You mean the attempted celebration?
Now, remember, he's only been in the league for 1 year. And he doesn't spend much time in the end zone. And here he is after he throws a touchdown pass. I'm going to go jump on the pile.
Play. All of the action was legal.
And there he goes. He jumps in, and the pile moves.
He's trying to jump on Lamont Hall, and it's almost like Hall sensed him coming from behind.
That was a terrific fake, a nice throw, great execution. But you got to learn how to celebrate.
Yeah. Brett knows how. There had been no infraction, so the ball is at the 36-yard line. This is where this Minnesota drive begins, with a Robert Smith 2-yard pickup to the 38-yard line. After the game, ESPN has its Monday Night Football post-game show with live reports and analysis. Psychoanalysis, too.
There's a lot of that going on around here.
2nd down and 8 from the 38. Green Bay up by 3. Pressure from both sides, and then it's caught by Hatchett. And he's run out of bounds by Edwards. First down near midfield.
And Hatchett wants to know why there's no flag throwing. Edwards hits him clearly out of bounds. But the big question I had coming into tonight is, how come this guy hasn't caught more balls? And obviously the easy answer to that is because of Randy Moss, Jake Reed, and Chris Carter. But certainly he should be involved a little bit more tonight than he's already been. I mean, he's a guy that possesses good speed. He can fly, he can go up and get the ball, and he's a big, strong kid. And he's kind of like a mirror image of this guy, Chris Carter.
He's caught 3 tonight. Had 5 all season from the 49-yard line, and that is caught by Hatchett.
There we go. Now we're getting him involved.
9-yard gain.
Well, they love those big receivers up here, don't they?
Sure.
And it's one of the reasons that the Green Bay Packers had to go out and they had to draft all these defensive backs. And when you look at the defensive backs, especially the new ones now, Antoine Edwards at 6'1" and Mike McKenzie at 6 foot, it's because you have these receivers in the NFC Central that you have to be able to get physical with, especially the guys in Detroit, Chicago, and now here in Minnesota.
Packers picking 3 DBs, 1, 2, 3 in the draft. 5 number 1 choices in the 90s have been defensive backs, and this is Robert Smith threading his way inside the 35 to the 33 to the pleasure of Red McCombs. Enhanced TV online right now. Stats, interactive games, all kinds of other stuff at ESPN.com and NFL.com.
All kinds of other stuff.
All kinds of other stuff.
Well, there's all kinds of other stuff on the offensive line of the Vikings, and that time running behind Christie, Dixon, and Stringer. A big offensive line on the right side. Most teams in the NFL would love to have these guys.
First down at the 32-yard line. Blitz by Harris. He's picked up. Pass is incomplete. Hatchett trying to make an acrobatic move, covered by Mike McKenzie, who had him pinned along the sideline.
I think that when they drafted Mike McKenzie, he was the third of the three guys that were drafted. Do you think that they told him, you know what, you're going to have to go one-on-one with these receivers out in Detroit and Chicago and Tampa and Minnesota, and you're going to have to do it all out there by yourself?
Yeah.
And Ray Rhodes says he has a very short memory, which is real good for a defensive back.
Lucky Herman Moore's been hurt this year, too. For more trouble. Second down and 10 at the 32-yard line.
Corey Stringer.
Yep.
Before the snap, false start offense, number 77, 5 yards, second down.
For the Vikings, and Dennis Green knows it very well, 55 yards and penalties. With the kind of year Gary Anderson is having, there's no such thing as an easy field goal. He's only made one this year beyond 40 yards, and that was tonight.
Well, he really hasn't been right since the miss against the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC Championship game right here last year.
So a penalty like that could come back to bite you. We'll see. Second, looking for a shovel pass instead. Recox throws, caught by Moss, and Moss is stopped inside the 1-yard line.
How is that not a touchdown? All right, Randy, show me some toughness going down the middle, making the catch in between the safeties. A great throw by Jeff George, and Darren Sharper just levels Randy Moss. Randy Moss beats number 24, Antoine Edwards, off the line of scrimmage and runs right past him. You can see Antoine right there. He's trailing, but look at this throw, right on the money. And there you go. And good call by the officials, but that's concentrating, Al, knowing that you're going to get drilled, and you make the play.
Leroy Horde in at tailback. He's the short yardage guy. They give it to Leroy. Leroy tries to pull his way into the end zone. Yes, touchdown. Randy Moss, in the holiday spirit, giveth and taketh.
Boy, when he can go and he puts it into second gear and he makes plays, he's as exciting as there ever has been. But like I said, there's always that little thing. And let's see if he ever grows out of that, Al. I can't even begin to think what he could become.
Here's Horde's 7th rushing touchdown of the season. Gary Anderson with the extra point. And so on a big play, here's the Vikings are back up on top.
And the wind would take it all the way over to St. Paul.
Yes, it would. They
beat at the line of scrimmage. A great release move by Randy Moss to shed the rookie defensive back.
Now Favre begins this drive. Tyrone Davis can't handle it. It'll be second down and 10. A reminder, Christmas Day is this Saturday, and here on ABC Sports at noon Eastern time, the Blue-Gray All-Star Classic from Alabama, and then the Aloha Bowl from Hawaii featuring Wake Forest against Arizona State on Christmas Day. Ray Rhodes in this vitally important game to his team. Second down and 10 at the 20-yard line. Favre throws, caught, Schrader up to the 40-yard line. First down. Boomer, it's just been a completely wacky NFL season. And a lot of our Monday night games earlier in the year weren't particularly compelling. We got a lot of road routes, but it's almost as if as the season's gotten better, further along, games have gotten more important. We've had the close ones on Monday.
And we've had some great games, and tonight is no exception with Brett Favre and Jeff George going back and forth. It's great to be a quarterback in this type of game out because it's all the pressure, it's everything that you love.
And Schrader doesn't make the catch and then takes a pop from Robert Griffith as well.
And you can see these quarterbacks, what confidence they have in their arms to be able to try to drill the ball into the sideline against these double coverages. They just feel like they can get it there, and certainly with their arm strength, they can.
No question about it. Happy holiday season greetings.
Holidays. What about my tie, Al? You like that?
I like that. Very nice.
It has little snowmen on it, just for you.
Yeah, it's very cute.
Yeah, thanks.
I have a gift under the tree.
No, there's no gift.
Boomer, where's your holiday spirit? Come on. From the 40-yard line. This is Levens. And he takes it up to the 50-yard line. And Rudd is still down. Dwayne Rudd shaken up on the play.
When you tackle Dorsey Levens, you better have your mouthpiece in, and you better come with all your weight. That's Levens' 101st yard tonight. And Al, the way he finishes his runs, that's the thing. That's what you love to see in all football players. And people might say, why would you get on Randy Moss for nonchalantly stepping out of bounds? Because guys like this don't do that. And that's what should be expected of every football player. And when I watch him run and the way he finishes, boy, it gets me, it's exciting to watch him.
Third down and inches, and in a scrum, the ball comes loose. It's pitched back to Levens. It was Favre who pitched it back. Brett, thinking he didn't have the first down, couldn't pick up the inches necessary, and then sent it back to Dorsey, and they don't have the first.
Al, you have to wonder who in the center of that line got through the middle, whether you don't know if it's Jerry Ball, you don't know if it's John Burrows, or I don't even know if John Randall was out there on this particular play, but watch the surge in the middle right there. And it's Jerry Ball that makes the play at the point of attack. And Brett Favre, acting as if he's playing Australian rules football, laterals it back to Dorsey Levens. Ooh, dangerous.
So on 3rd and inches, it goes to 4th down, and they just do get the punt off before the play clock expires. Moss comes up and makes with a chance to use a good portion of the clock here with a sustaining drive. 6:23 to go, first down. And they begin with Robert Smith. Works his way up to the 24. Almost every time you see Randy Moss, you can put together a pretty good highlight package, and tonight is no exception. Very early on a 3rd down and 1, Jeff George with a play fake, and then Moss beats Tyrone Williams for the touchdown. That was their first score of the night. Then from deep in Packer territory, George gave a little finger wave to Moss, hit him for a touchdown, and that one got him inside the 1. Leroy Horde cashed in, and it's 24-20 Minnesota, mainly thanks to that man. 2nd down and 6 at the 24-yard line. Smith again. Tackle up at the 25-yard line.
It was that last one, Al, that really sticks out in my mind, because he had to go down, drilled, and he held on to the football. And you can take a look at this. TD receptions, first 30 games in NFL history.
Yep.
He's right there.
And look at the other guys in front of him, all played a long time ago. Bill Groman, mainly with the Oilers during his career.
Must not have been free agency in Bill Groman's year.
That was the first year of the AFL.
Somebody would have picked him up.
It was a different kind of free agency. It was like the NFL, or guys would be under the goalpost somewhere signing it for the AFL. 3rd down and 5 at the 25-yard line.
Jeff George trying the hard count, and this offensive line.
False start, offense number 71, 5 yards, 3rd down.
Smart play by Jeff George in this particular situation, because he knows the Packer defense is all jacked up. There's Mike Tice, the offensive line coach, and he was telling me before the game that, you know, he's happy with his offensive line. A couple guys have not had great games, but Corey Stringer is playing his best that he's ever played since he's been here. He feels real comfortable with these guys, but the mistakes that they're making right now, the false starts and the offside, I mean, those are things that this veteran offensive line should not be doing.
Definitely not. 3rd down and 10. Packers blitz, all-out blitz, and guess who? Moss again.
9, Matthew Hatchett
coming back.
And that's what it was. Matthew Hatchett lines up outside. Randy Moss is inside. Hatchett comes down and tries to pick off Antoine Edwards.
Offense, number 89. 10 yards. Repeat, 3rd down.
Now, as we saw before, Antonio Freeman doing it for the Green Bay Packers, he was a little bit more tactful. This time, Matthew Hatchett is right out there. Watch this. Watch Antoine Edwards. Here comes Matthew Hatchett. That's definitely a pick, and they will call that. It was a good call by the officials.
Well, the crowd is responding to the replay because what they're looking for when they hear pass interference
right there
is they're looking for Moss to actually create the pass interference, unaware that it's Hatchett with the pick that's created it. So that's why you had that tumultuous reception from the crowd.
Feeble attempt by Matthew Hatchett on his acting ability.
Right. 3rd down and 20 from the 10. George drops it. Goes deep. Incomplete. Reaching for it was Jake Reed. Tyrone Williams back to cover. So it's 4th down and 20.
You know, Jake Reed had Tyrone Williams beat again. And if Jeff George doesn't have to bend down and pick the ball up off the ground, I think he's able to set his feet and throw it down the middle of the field. And number 46, Rodney Artmore, does not even make a play on it. Take a look at this. He's rolling away, stepping up, and you can see that he has him beat. Oh.
Pittsburgher to punt. This is Charles Jordan, just recently picked up from Seattle, the wide receiver who brings it back to the Minnesota 45-yard line.
He's the best quarterback in football on the road, going against the defense that's not been playing well this season, and see if he can pull the game out here.
He's been here many times. This is course 11, stop for no gain. Dwayne Rudd first to get him.
I would like to see them move a little bit more frantically, I guess, because you can't just assume that you're going to run the play clock down to 10 seconds every time you get the ball. There's only 4 minutes left to go in this game, and precious seconds are coming off that clock while they're sitting in the huddle here.
With a little bit more alacrity at this point.
I didn't want to use that word.
Well,
I thought that was overused.
We got it.
You haven't used it in a while, I know.
2 months. 2nd down and 10. They split Levens off to the right. Favre throwing. Trying to throw and gets sacked back at the 42-yard line by Dwayne Rudd, and a flag gets thrown. So Dwayne Rudd in on each of the last 2 plays. Coach Fazio, and his posture will tell you that he is almost certain it's against his defensive unit for a face mask.
Really was a terrific play by Dwayne Rudd, not being faked out.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense from the 57. He grabbed the quarterback by the back of the helmet. 15 yards, automatic first down.
Now Mike Carey says that he is grabbing the back of the helmet, and that is apparent. You could see that. Watch Dwayne Rudd come right through the middle, untouched, a blitzer. Brett Favre tries to take him out, and there he does. He grabs him by the back of the helmet. That's exactly what Mike Carey said. That's how he explained the call. So he saw that as roughing the passer.
You know, that's a tough call, though. I mean, it's all part of the play. You know, you almost want to give a guy a pass on something like that. It's not as flagrant as a face mask. This is Levens taking it to the 27, but it's Boomer. I've been watching football a long time, and you've been playing and watching it, and you have another flag here, and this is a holding call that's going to bring Green Bay back. I'm not sure I can remember a call like that.
I remember getting slammed down by the helmet a few times. And
by the back of the helmet?
Yeah, but no call, though.
Right.
But then again, I wasn't Brett Favre. And that was at a different time. That was in the 80s, though, so it didn't matter. But I will tell you this, though, Al. The one thing that all these defensive players know is to stay away from the head of the quarterback. And they are told that in the preseason. The NFL makes sure that everybody knows that. And Mike Carey was living by the letter of the law.
Or at least the line judge was. He made the call, 1st and 20, and that's incomplete, intended for Jimmy Hitchcock. You know, excuse me, intended for Antonio Freeman, which makes me think of something too, Boomer. Actually, it's normally the referee who makes the call to the quarterback. This call was actually made by the line judge.
The only thing I could tell you, Al, is that he actually grabbed the back of the helmet, and you could not touch the quarterback to the head. And that's basically the way the rule is stated, and that's correct call in my eyes.
Second down and 20 from the 47-yard line. And that is incomplete. And upon further review in my own mind, it is possible Carey made the call and was just checking with the line judge for the line of scrimmage on the prior play.
You have instant replay in your brain, Al?
I used to.
Nice play by Tony Williams that time, snuffing out the screen. John Randall comes flying through the middle. Chris Tolman going after sacks. That's what he's known for. And Tony Williams remains at the line of scrimmage and sticks to Dorsey Levens and breaks up the screen. A nice play.
47-yard line. Very big play for the Packers here. Otherwise, they have to send it back to Minnesota, and they can take a lot of time off the clock or make Green Bay use its timeouts. And Favre going deep downfield into traffic, and it's picked off at the 17-yard line. Kenny Wright, the rookie from northwestern Louisiana, gets back, picks it off, and the Vikings have the ball back.
You throw the ball down the middle late across your body, you're going to get it picked off more often than not. Give the credit to the defensive line of the Minnesota Vikings. Chris Tolman screaming around the corner, getting past Ross Burba. Brett Favre out of the pocket, and he throws it across the field against the grain. Basically, the first written rule of quarterbacking is don't do that. Now, if you're in a desperation situation like they were, you take a shot and see what happens.
Kenny Wright, the rookie, with his first career interception. The ball is at the 27-yard line. 3:19 left in regulation. They give it to Leroy Horde. A hard yard. Green Bay has 3 timeouts, plus the 2-minute warning, and they'll use their first timeout here in the National Football League. And Horde has the highest fumble rate. Second down and 9. But Smith is back in. And then George has to use a timeout.
He would have had 2 timeouts and probably somewhere between 35 and 40 seconds. In his first game as a Green Bay Packer in 1992, he beat my Cincinnati Bengals with no timeouts in about 42 seconds and had to go 92 yards to beat us with a touchdown, and he did it.
And all they would have needed last week was a field goal. Second down and 9. Smith, and Robert Smith breaks his way out to the 35-yard line. Now the Packers really caught between a rock and a hard place. Third down and 2, and they are going to take their second timeout.
And that's why you want
41-yard line.
It looks like it's one-on-one on the outside. Williams on Reed and Edwards on Randy Moss, and no safety in the middle of the field.
Third down and 2, and they're going to go for Reed and get the first down. Wonder if he'll even get back on the field. They have 1 more timeout and the 2-minute warning, so in effect 2 defensive timeouts for Green Bay here. This is Smith. You should take it right here, and they will. They'll take their first and at the 2-minute warning, and then there will be third.
Kick the field goal.
Absolutely. Yep. Second 2. Moss. Well, that's going to wrap it up. And the star of the night will write a finish to this one. And take an audio guy with him in the process. To play early on. But if nothing else has helped inspire this team to what will be a monster victory as Robert Smith takes the ball in the 27-yard warning in the Metrodome.
Loves playing the Packers, doesn't he, Al?
Packers, in the words of Roberto Duran right now, must be thinking, no Moss.
Almost.
We wish. Brett Favre could get back in the game here. The Vikings can take almost all the time off the clock, but with 2 minutes to go, it's second down right here. Play takes, let's say, 5 seconds, and then they run the play clock down. They'll next snap a third down at 1:15. Roughly 30 seconds left.
This is also an area where the running back can get through there. There's no safeties, and you can make a big play. How many times have we seen that?
Well, Robert Smith, and they can make it all academic, of course, if they pick up a first down. Right now, it's going to be 3rd down and about 2. And they can take it down to about 1:15 or so before they snap it.
This is an area going out, Alan. They'll have all 9 guys around the line of scrimmage, and if you break one, we could see 6 here. You have to make sure when you're a defensive player that you're attacking. You can see Ray Rhodes screaming out at his defensive players, don't give up, try to strip the ball, rip it out. It's going to be very difficult to get it out of Robert Smith's hands, however.
A first down ends the game, but if they can stop him, they got a chance. And Jeff George, he takes the clock so far down that he has to call a timeout.
There's second.
And he's screaming over here at the sideline.
Whatever it takes. I mean, maybe that's the key to having the longest tenure in the league. You work out your aggression.
He definitely beats to a different drummer, and the other
Very good.
There was a cameraman in there taking.
Yes, there was. 3rd down and 3 now from the 23-yard line. They give it to Smith. He doesn't get the first down. So now the Vikings, when a flag comes in.
Darren Sharp, right?
Well, if it's against Green Bay, it costs them any chance to get the ball back. Otherwise, they would get the ball back.
He's going to call Darren Sharper on a late hit on Matthew, I believe on Matthew Hatchett. Question is whether or not he will pick up the flag.
There's no foul on the play.
Okay.
All of the action was legal. 4th down.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. He is good. I don't know. Now the interesting thing now, the clock is stopped right now.
Now let's see. He's gonna set the play clock at 25.
So they actually, the Green Bay Packers actually have gained time right.
They did 15 seconds worth, because otherwise it would have started at 40 from the end of the last play. Now the question is, what do the Vikings want to do in this situation? It appears they'll run a play and then take their chances on Green Bay being able to. But
Here now is that the game clock did not start with the down clock.
It did not. You're exactly right. The game clock started before the play clock. And so if they don't get at the first down, and they won't, the clock's going to stop here. And there should be about 35 seconds left in the game instead of 45. No timeouts for Green Bay. Favre throws, and that is incomplete. Intended. Schrader and Freeman wide left, Bradford wide right. Out of the shotgun. Favre off his back foot, open along the side, making the catch. Schrader out of bounds. 1st and 10 at the 39, or the pitcher at the 39-yard line. Flag is down. I think the Vikings have jumped offside. It is caught by Bradford. He takes it to the 45. Green Bay would have had to get up to the line of scrimmage and spike it to stop the clock. Favre for Levens. He one-hands it, and Dorsey, who should be looking for the sideline, is tackled at the 34. Brett's going to spike it and then have 1, maybe 2 shots at the end zone.
I don't get that.
No, I hated that call.
I mean, I understand. He makes it fast. They might have a chance for another play.
And that's what they're going to do. They're going to take another crack at it from the 27-yard line. Schrader makes the catch out of bounds.
They know that they're guarding the end zone, so they'll work the sidelines. Now that gives them a little bit better of a chance. 1 play into the end zone. You talk about an improbable finish. The Vikings should be inside drinking Gatorade and talking about what a great game it was.
Favre from the 27. 3-man rush. Buying time. Throwing into the end zone. It is Tim Robert Griffin.
Al, it's the game that we expected. We expected it to be hard fought. We expected it to be exciting. And we certainly expected one of these quarterbacks to get a chance to win it in the end.
Heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching defeat for the Green Bay Packers. Last week on the final play of the game, and this one comes down to the final play of the game.
Nice catch by Robert Griffith in the end zone.
Vikings prevail. They win it 24